Hello and welcome back. In the last video I experimented with a black rice acid ink which starts off as a really rich deep red and then dries back to a pale blue grey, which was completely unexpected and is really absolutely gorgeous. I've since actually worked with it in a couple of paintings, and I was wondering whether an alkaline version would allow me to keep that red or possibly even get a purple. So I set up for that, and on the same day my friend Jessica popped over and she brought a bag of hibiscus petals. Anyone who's ever had hibiscus tea knows that it's an amazing colour and that it really stains absolutely anything. So we decided to do a hibiscus ink, and now we have 2 bottles to play with. So first up is the rice ink, which interestingly enough we didn't get a red or a purple, we actually got a rose gold, which is very different to any of the other browns that I've gotten before, including from the tobacco, and is very complementary to many of the other shades that I work with frequently. And what I'm doing is 2 patches of each one. First one is the ink in its neat state, and then the second is dripped into water so you can see the flow. This ink is very thin, but it's well pigmented, flows and moves beautifully, very much like watercolor, and mixes very well. Next up is the hibiscus, which as you can see is quite a bit thicker than the rice, but it's not jelly-like like a lot of thicker inks can be. It flows and moves really well, and it fades back into itself, so you're not left with streakiness. It also, when dripped into water, you get some very interesting dendritic effects, which is quite beautiful. And when you drip water back into the neat ink itself, you get some very interesting granulations happening, which is one of my favorite effects in ink. Now, interestingly enough, it does respond in some wonderful ways to acidity and to alkalinity. So where the water touches, it does change to that same blue-grey, or actually a slightly richer version of the blue-grey that the rice ink changed to. What we're doing now is where things get really exciting, is mixing the two. It's not something I usually experiment with, but this time something just said to me to try it and watch. So where the hibiscus touches the rice, it gets this halo of this amazing copper green. And the same in reverse if you start with the hibiscus and then drip the rice into that. It really is absolutely spectacular, and I've never had an ink do this before, so this is just probably one of the most exciting things in my life. And you do get different shades according to whether you drip the hibiscus into the rice or vice versa. So dripping rice into hibiscus, you get much darker, golder shades, where the other way around you get purples, you get greens, you get all sorts of warmer shades. Now, in mixing them, you actually get an even broader range of colours to play with. This is starting with half the amount of rice as to hibiscus, where we end up with a beautiful pale greeny gold, sort of an old gold. And now doubling the amount of hibiscus to rice, we get that deep coppery forest green. And something wonderful is because the hibiscus is acid and the rice is alkaline, you get all sorts of really fun fizzing happening when you mix them. Depending on what ratio you're mixing, you can get anywhere from gold to greens to greys to purples. Next up, I am doubling the amount of hibiscus to rice, and we get a really beautiful dirty purple. Now, dripping the neat ink back into each one of those mixtures gives you an even bigger range of effects. So that is the rice into each one of the three mixtures. And we now have the hibiscus into each one. Like most botanical inks, the colours of these do change as they dry, but not dramatically. They mostly just get bolder and deeper. Now this is where things get really fun, and I've never had this range of reactions from any ink, be it my own or commercial inks. And now we're playing with the effect of different acidity and alkalinity on it. So this is the hibiscus, and I'm painting a mixture of water and bicarbonate of soda. And we now start to get all sorts of blues and purples out of it, which is just utterly unbelievable. And for a different effect, I'll be sprinkling dry bicarbonate of soda onto this patch. It's really fun how it fizzes. Who would have actually thought that that would be a thing for ink, but it is. Adding acidity unfortunately wasn't quite as interesting, but I did eventually get that purple out of the acidic black rice. These inks also do seem to be remarkably stable, which is a huge relief. It means that I can use them in works comfortable in the knowledge that what I see in 6 months is going to be the same or very, very similar to what I paint now. My samples from 2 weeks ago are stable, they haven't moved, the colours are just as vibrant, and although they do still alter with water, which is something that I like, they don't completely disappear. If there are other artists out there who are interested in trying my inks out, drop me a message. I will be selling limited edition bottles of both the rice inks and the hibiscus. I would love to see what you guys all manage to do with them.